So this is streaming on my end.
Uh-oh, you see it?
Yep, webinar is now streaming live on Facebook.
All right, fantastic. We got it going on finally. Welcome, Hannah Bouwmeester.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm awesome. I'm really good.
I'm just going to set an attention for this really quickly, which is I know you and I are both at the end of a long work day, and it's like, it can be so easy to be like stressed out and just like come into a Facebook Live and be like, I got to perform now. But let's just find the fun in this and just like keep it loose. I really want people to know the Hannah that I know, which is just such an awesome, generous, funny, like hardworking person. So, you know, I guess that's my way of saying I'm just going to try not to be too stiff and let's just keep it loose.
Deal.
Awesome, deal. Okay, so for those of you who are watching right now, first of all, if you're watching right now live, just type the word live. Just go into the comment box and just type the word live so that we know who's actually watching live right now. Because that's, I think one of the coolest things about having people live is understanding that they're live and actually getting questions and seeing what's going on. So I see some people, I see about 2 people are on right now, maybe, okay, and that number is going up. So welcome everybody. Now, the reason that we do these videos and that we do these lives is to actually introduce you to some of the people behind the scenes, because you see so much of me and you see so much of Carrie, but then a lot of the people doing the heavy lifting and the coaching and the calling and the checking up and the accountability is Frida, Hannah, Ryan, our Lifehack coaches who we've brought in. And I've had the fortune of being able to bring in some of my favorite people. So what's been so great about the success of Lifehack Bootcamp is that we don't have to get subpar coaches to do our coaching. We've actually been able to lure some top talent. And I want you guys as a community to know who these people are, know their story, know what their specialty is, so that when you're reaching out to somebody, you can actually identify with somebody and say, hey, yeah, you know, maybe I got, you know, Hannah assigned to me, but, you know, Frida's story really touches me. I want to reach out to Frida and make contact. Guys, full permission. If any of the Lifehack coaches just speaks to you and you just like their style, just reach out to them. It's always first name at Lifehack Bootcamp, Frida at Lifehack Bootcamp, Hannah at Lifehack Bootcamp, Demir at Lifehack Bootcamp. If there's somebody here on our side that you want to reach out to, just reach out to them. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce Hannah Bouwmeester. So Hannah, just really quick, you know, Hannah is, you know, somebody who really impresses the hell out of me. You know, she's a mom of 6 children ranging from 17 to 7. She's a wife and a caregiver to her mother who lives at home, but she's also a successful entrepreneur who owns her own business and is a business coach and has mastered online sales and really teaches me a thing or two about online sales. So this is somebody who has somehow done it all. And I get so many people, Hannah, coming to me with a similar bio where they're like, well, you know, I have 3 kids and I can't do this thing that you want me to do to me. I'm like, well, you need to meet Hannah Bouwmeester. Because Hannah Bouwmeister's got 6 kids and her mom lives at home and she's the breadwinner of the family, right? So, you know, how do you do it all? First of all, I mean, is there one thing that you can boil it down to? Like, is there a mindset that allows you to be Superwoman?
Yeah, definitely. How I do it all is I actually came to a point of admitting that I wasn't doing it all. And I promise Demir didn't set me up to say this, but really I wasn't doing it all well until post Lifehack Bootcamp. That's the honest to God truth. I was doing it, but not well. And now I'm doing it well and I'm getting better every day. Yeah,
you do it. By the way, one of the things I didn't mention about your bio that's really impressive is that you're an avid sort of participant in what do they call that workouts that you do? I mean, they're so intense.
CrossFit. Yeah, I love CrossFit.
You're an avid workout. You're an avid CrossFitter. So it's like you've got 6 kids. You're the breadwinner of your family. You're an avid CrossFitter. You're also a coach. I mean, it really is amazing. Honestly, I feel really fortunate to be a small part of your story, because your story, you were successful before we even met you at Lifehack Bootcamp. But like you said, you came in and we met because you were a participant in the bootcamp and you were just like, you know what, I'm doing it all, but I'm not doing it all well. and I'm feeling
Yeah.
tired and I need to get back on the horse. I'm being dragged behind the horse, to borrow a phrase that you used before, right? And
Yeah.
and I'm glad that we were able to be part of that. So let's start at the beginning, right? Let's like rewind the clock.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us, just take a couple minutes here and just, tell us about yourself, like as if we're just meeting at a party. Like, what's your background? Who is this person, Hannah Bouwmeester?
Wow. How do you put all that succinctly? So I think probably the most uh, colorful part of who I am is really how I grew up. I did have a sort of a difficult growing up childhood. I was a single parent home. My mother was abusive. I ended up getting taken out of my home. I lived in a halfway home. I lived in foster care. I lived on the street for a little while. And I share that simply because I think in our society, a lot of times we see people that live in their story. And although that's part of my story, and that definitely is my story, I don't live in that story. I never have. And I think that because of my upbringing, I've just always been sort of a tenacious person, and I didn't really know how to define it, but really it's like Angela Duckworth says in her book, Grit. Like, I just am a gritty person, and I've never been somebody that quit on a bad day. I love the way she defined that for me. So my whole life, I've just been an overcomer. Whatever life threw at me, I would figure out a way to make it work. And I've also always been somebody that had a high standard for myself. I've never really needed other people to set the standard for me. I think Gretchen Rubin refers to it as the upholder or something like that. Like, I think I got the right title there. Yeah. So I definitely want to live up to the expectations that people in my sphere have on me and have for me, but I'm also somebody that wants to live up to the expectations I have for myself. And, so fast forward into, I was a stay-at-home mom for quite a lot of years, having babies, and then I started my business, and it's a publishing company. So I provide a magazine for a community, and as I was going through that learning process, and mountains to climb, because I really didn't have any clue what I was doing. I just kind of dove in and did it. And what connected me to Lifehack Bootcamp was my internal desire to be excellent. I realized I wasn't achieving the goals I had. I wasn't even doing the jobs that I had for myself at a level I was comfortable with. I was just, life was happening to me, and I was managing the chaos. Life was happening to me. I wasn't happening to life, and I wasn't happy with that. So
yeah, I mean, I remember, it's funny. I remember our first conversation, and it's really hard to remember back to that time because, well, one, we've had you've taken the boot camp multiple times. We've started working together, right? I mean, like, there's a lot of water under that bridge, so it's hard to cast back, but it's also hard to remember, a version of you that wasn't crushing it at this current level, right? I mean, I know that you have higher class problems, they still feel like problems, but I remember I went back to my original notes from our very, very first call, and man, you were in a very different place.
oh my gosh, total overwhelm, total complete overwhelm. Like, when I came to you, and I remember our call too, and you asked me, like, what was the biggest goal that I could possibly achieve. Honestly, it was just order. Just feeling like I could spin the plates and keep them all from crashing. Like, it was really not a big hairy ass goal. It was just like, man, if you could just help me from not crashing and burning. Yeah, I'm in a very, very different place.
Oh man, it's so good to see. So tell me a little bit about your experience with coaching, right? And so, it's funny, I've been exposed to really, because I actually listen here. Hold on, let me close this window here or open it. I've got to do one or the other. There we go. Let's open it. There we go. Woo, bright. All right. You guys ready for some sun? Oh man, that's probably too much. Oh, come on, Demir. Really gonna do it like that? All right, hold on one second. Let's get this lighting right here. All right. There we go. All right, that'll be a little bit better. At least I hope it will be. So Hannah, what I was gonna say is I actually listen to a lot of your calls because we'll do, just quality control recordings where we'll just be like, okay, hey, Demir, can you just listen to one of my calls here? I want to make sure that I coach this person right. And so I'm listening to some of your calls and getting coaching. And I'm like, wow, that's profound. I feel like I'm being coached by Hannah right now. So I've gotten a chance to experience your coaching at the highest level of quality. But I guess the question for you is, how did you get into coaching? And what was it like? What's the passion behind coaching people? Because you already have a business. You don't have to do coaching. You don't have to be here. It's something you do for passion. Why is that?
I would say that a driving force in my life, no matter what it is that I'm doing, is to have impact. If it's just about the money for me, it's not going to have enough value to really keep me interested. At the end of my life, I really, really want people to be able to just succinctly say, she had impact on my life. So in my publishing company that I own, it's part of a franchise. And as I was building my franchise, I had people that were leaders within that company reach out to me and ask me if I would consider taking leadership role within that company and doing some business coaching for other publishers and just helping them to build their own business. And while I didn't necessarily see myself as somebody with a lot to contribute, I knew that I had a love and a passion for people, and I would walk alongside somebody if they needed help, no matter what. So I decided to take that leap, and I took that role on. It's certainly been it's been a season of growth for me as I have learned how to coach other business owners. But what I will say is a coaching call for me, I always feel like I come away from it with so much more than I probably left. Although I seek to leave a lot of value when I'm talking with somebody. The most important thing for me is to see somebody else really have a mindset shift of their own and see them get clarity, see them move the needle. When I see somebody else make progress in their own lives and I see them gain success because of something I've said or some way that I've listened or encouraged, that is a currency that I can't even put a value on. I just can't.
That's amazing. I love it. Yeah. I love it. So why productivity coaching? Because it's not really something that's in the zeitgeist, is it? It's not like life coaching or business coaching. Like, why productivity coaching?
It's funny. You said it's not life coaching, it's not business coaching, but I would kind of beg to differ. I think it absolutely is life coaching. I think it absolutely is business coaching. One of the things that I think is so phenomenal about productivity coaching is it impacts every area of your life: health, fitness, self-care, business, personal life, spirituality. I mean, when you've got your efficiency at the max level that you can have it, and you're bringing the best version of you, it's absolutely going to affect every area of your life. So I think you could really call productivity coaching like holistic coaching, because it does have that kind of an effect.
It's almost like it's so funny. Like I couldn't agree with you more, by the way. Like, I like to be very clear. I'm like, if you don't know what to do with your life, I'm not the person to work with to help you. Right. But if you know what you want to do and you just can't get there effectively, like, let's dig in. And so many times when somebody gets in ownership of the just minutia, the bricks of their life, just the building blocks of their life, it improves their marriage, it improves their relationships, because at the end of the day, you need to count on each other inside of a marriage. You need to, like, being somebody who produces and delivers in the marriage, just like being somebody who produces and delivers on a team, is stuff that will get you recognized, is stuff that will get you promoted, is stuff where people cannot help but see the value. I mean, Carrie is constantly, I'm finding things and say, oh, Carrie, we have to do this. And she's like, it's done. And like the feeling that I get from being married to somebody where, like, by the time I even mention it, she's already seen it, recognized it, delegated it, or done it herself, and it is done. And the feeling that I have there. And so you're completely right. I mean, there's just like a personal element as well as a professional element. And of course, when we can do more at work, we can accomplish more, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So sorry, I was just going to say, I think the concept of extreme ownership that you shared, I mean, that's really it's a fulcrum, really, that a lot of it just kind of balances on. And that was a new concept. Like labeling it, putting a name to it. That was new. And I got that when I was part of the fast focus and control group. That concept of really taking ownership of every single result I'm getting in every area of life that I'm living, it's on me. And that was like, at first I kind of chafed. I really was like, I don't really think I like that. But when I finally really embraced that concept, that's when I started to make some huge leaps and gains in all areas of my life. So,
well, it's interesting because like we all have like these different areas of ownership that we don't want to take on, right? In fact, I read the book and I was like, I'm going to read this book, but I understand this concept, right? I understood this concept before there was a concept that was a precursor to extreme ownership. I think the book puts it perfectly, but obviously this concept has been out there before, right? And so when I read the book, I was like, I'll read it for my clients so that I can teach this to my clients. And I realized there were 3 or 4 major areas of my business that I wasn't taking ownership of, right? So if you really come from a place where you accept that you're always trying to squirm out of ownership, right? Like that's how I live. There's always some place in my life where I'm trying to be like, no, it's her fault. It's not my fault. It's her fault or his fault, or like it's the situation or the circumstance. And, extreme ownership is a process that I'm always getting back in touch with.
Yeah, me too. Constantly.
Amazing.
Even like asking myself, am I really owning my results here, or am I pointing? And now it's not so much people, but I do still find myself like, oh, it's this circumstance. Oh, it's this problem, this obstacle. I'm like, no.
So tell me, like, what's it like to coach these people? What have you been hearing from people on your calls, the 10-minute calls, the 45-minute strategy session calls that we offer? What are you hearing from people, and what's some of the themes that keep coming up?
I think probably one of the major themes is that for a lot of people, they're really lacking clarity. I think they have a vague idea of where they want to go, or they have a vague idea of what's holding them back, but they haven't really had somebody walk them through the process of asking enough questions to not just get what they think the problem is, but really get down deep below what's motivating and what's kind of surface, where a lot of us, we think the problem is A, and really we have to kind of go through 5 or 6 layers to get down to what really the problem is.
Yeah.
And it's nothing even remotely close to what we think it is. What we think the problem is really just a symptom. So that lack of clarity. The other big thing that I really see a lot of people bringing to the table is an intense desire for different results, but they haven't been super intentional about getting those results down in a very like on paper, black and white, clear vision that they're visiting, multiple times, so that it stays clear and that why is strong and their vision is strong. So they kind of know, like they kind of have this vague idea. Again, there's a lot of lack of clarity, and they don't really know how to do it on their own. A lot of people are out there trying to do it on their own, and it's that doing it in community and with somebody that's an expert in the area you're struggling with, like that's where you're really going to get the game-changing moment. You're just very rarely do you ever see people do that on their own.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think we talk about on paper, on purpose. And of course, you've created a life map, which is something that we do, an exercise that we do inside of the boot camp. But to me, people always ask me, like, Tamir, you do productivity, so you probably have all these little tools and tricks. If you just had to choose just one thing, and if my brain was erased and I could only keep one piece of knowledge that I have about productivity, it would be my life map. It would be that document where I have in one page, not 5 pages, not 50 pages, in one page that I pull out and I look at every day, is a model of my life and success that lets me know whether I'm on track or off track, tells me what my next action is, tells me what my priorities are. That to me is like, if you had to erase my brain and I could only keep one productivity technique, that would be the one, because that to me is the one. And it's funny enough, I don't have to pay anything for it. It's a sheet of paper, right? And I didn't have to learn any fancy new technology. It was just that clarity, that massive clarity equals massive action for me. Because when I'm clear, and this is, so many people get like this, when I'm clear, I'm unstoppable.
Yeah.
right? Like in the times of my life when I'm clear and I know what I should be doing and know why I'm doing it, I'm unstoppable. The problem is when I'm not clear, I'm unstartable. Like I can't start anything.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And I would 100% agree. Out of all the tools that I have learned to utilize and use, absolutely the life map. And even right now, I'm sort of in a transitionary period where I'm updating my life map. But I will say that I'm not even so sure that without your help, when I was initially trying to just vomit everything that was in my brain out on paper and make it make sense and have it not be like 60 pages long, just having that coaching of really crystallizing what I'm trying to say. I would ramble and you'd go blah, and I'd be like, yes, that's totally it. And it really, really helped me to like get it on paper and make it make sense, but make it make sense on one piece of paper or two pieces of paper. And it was something I could follow, like you were saying, where I knew exactly the steps that I was going to take to get to where I was going. And I think removing that vagueness was just transformational for me with that.
Oof, love it. So what would you recommend? What we're speaking to the Focus and Control Time Mastery group, right? So the focus of this group is really about the fundamentals, pre-planning your week, using your time effectively, whether you have 5 minutes or 50 minutes, using that by falling into focus. And we're also talking about time tracking and learning about time tracking. So what would your number one recommendation be as somebody who's been through this whole journey to people who are just starting the journey? The journey into time mastery. I know there's a broader
Yeah.
journey of like the boot
Yep.
camp and full productivity, but just the time mastery journey.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing I would say is utilize the Facebook group, utilize, your coaches that have been assigned to you, ask a lot of questions, make sure you're on track. And then even if you can figure out a way to, hold yourself accountable to those things that you're doing, because one of the things that I know to be true in my own life, and I can very specifically say about the focus and control principles, I loved them. Like the sticky note game, understanding like setting a timer and working in time blocks. And all that was just like, just ate it up. And then the group was done. And guess what happened? All those things started to fade away. Because I hadn't done them enough over a long enough period of time with people saying, hey, Hannah, did you get this done? Did you get this done? And hey, I'm a disciplined person. I'm a very disciplined person. And yet that level of accountability is game changing for me to take it to the next level. So I sort of changed my life with the Focus and Control group. I definitely was able to incorporate some of the things that I learned, but it came to an end and I just kind of lost it slowly over time. So I would
So I hear you say, be a presence in the group, like get that
yeah,
accountability.
yeah, really do the work, because you're creating new habits, you're creating new neural pathways in your brain. Some people, they're taking on the whole concept of, like you were saying, time tracking, and that just blows people's minds sometimes. And if you don't get in there and you don't do the work when you've got the support around you to help you do it, then it's probably not going to have a transformational effect on your life.
Yeah, it's so true. And I meet people all the time. I do think we have the best program out there, but I also can totally honestly say that almost any program that you really work is going to get you a result.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you go out there and work almost any program with a high level of ownership and a high level of intention,
Yeah.
you're going to get a result, right? So while we're constantly working to make this like the best in the world, and I think it is, at the same time, like I even had a client who was like, I just enrolled in this other program. And I said, okay, great, go take that other program, right? And he's like, yeah, but I think your program's better. I was like, yeah, but here's the thing. You already paid for that program. And if you work it with a high level of attention, it's going to work. I think the only thing that's different here with the membership is that we really have an active membership inside the Facebook group. So that's a really valuable thing. Awesome.
Yeah, I really try to encourage people to make sure, because I do hear a lot of people say, oh, I'm trying to stay away from social media. And I tell them, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I told Demir when he said, get on the Facebook group. I'm like, oh, times suck. No, I don't want to get anywhere near Facebook. But the reality is you can use Facebook for really profitable means. And this is definitely one of them, because you get such support and really great nuggets from other people.
Totally. Okay, we're going to do a lightning round, and then I'm going to ask you for a final thought. So lightning round, what's your favorite movie?
Oh gosh. Okay. My favorite movie, Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh, that's a great one. Okay, favorite album?
Ooh, gosh, album, like as in an album?
Yeah, come on, they're back.
Okay, Marty Robbins. I grew
Marty
up listening
Robbins.
to Marty. Yeah, I
Okay,
grew up
love it.
listening to him. Yeah.
Love it, love it. Okay, favorite book?
Oh, without a doubt, The Count of Monte Cristo.
The Count of Monte Cristo. I love it. I love it. Favorite thing to do on a Sunday?
Ride my horse.
Ride your horse. Awesome. If you could have $1 million, what would you spend it on?
I would buy a ranch for troubled kids that have been trafficked and abused.
Ooh, these answers are so good. Okay. Thank you so much, Hannah Bouwmeester. I'm going to give it to you to offer a final thought to this group about what we do here, why you're here, anything. Mike's yours.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I guess I would just say I'm so excited for anybody that is part of this group, because if you dive in and you do the work, you're going to come out a different person. You really won't be the same. And it really can be the start of a brand new you and brand new results and the beginning of your journey to the life that you've always wanted. So, I mean, just congratulations that you get to be a part of such a phenomenal program.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Hannah.
You bet.
Awesome. Hey, if anybody wants to reach out to Hannah at any point, her email is Hannah, Hannah, at lifehackbootcamp.com. That's Hannah, Hannah, at lifehackbootcamp.com. And please feel free to reach out to her just to say hello, even just to be friendly and say hello, or with any specific questions that you have. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.